In October 2024, the European Union did something it had been threatening to do for a year. It put a tariff on electric cars built in China, and the tariff was steep, adding as much as 35% on top of the sticker price for some brands. The message was blunt. Cheap Chinese electric cars were flooding into Europe, European factories could not match the price, and Brussels was going to make those imports expensive enough to stop. The wall went up. And then something strange happened. It didn't work. Not because the tariff was too small, and not because anyone found a way to smuggle electric cars past customs. It didn't work because the fastest moving Chinese cars in Europe right now are not electric at all. They have a fuel tank. And in this video, you will see exactly how Chinese automakers walked straight around a wall that took Europe 2 years to build, which established European models are quietly losing the most, and what all of this means if you are standing in a showroom in Madrid or Manchester trying to decide what to buy. Start with the loophole, because everything else grows out of it. When Brussels wrote the tariff, it aimed at one specific thing: the battery electric vehicle, the pure EV, the car with no engine and a plug. That was China's strongest product and its cheapest weapon, so that is what the duty targeted. Plug-in hybrids, the cars that carry both a battery and a petrol engine, were left outside the measure. Conventional hybrids too. The wall was built around one powertrain and left the gate open next to it. If you were a Chinese automaker staring at a 35% tax on your electric cars and a 0% tax on your hybrids, the decision made itself. Look at what happened to the numbers. In June 2026, Chinese brands took 34% of Europe's entire plug-in hybrid market. More than a third of every plug-in hybrid sold across the region came from a Chinese company led by BYD, Chery, and Geely. 2 years earlier, that share was a rounding error. The tariff that was supposed to slow China down coincided with China taking over the exact category the tariff forgot to cover. That June figure is a single strong month, so measure the trajectory a second way to be fair. The analysis group Transport and Environment tracked the slower moving annual picture and found Chinese brands holding around 13% of the EU's plug-in hybrid market, up from about 3% in 2024. One number is a peak month, the other is the rolling trend, and both point the same direction. A category that was almost entirely European 2 years ago is now, by any honest measure, going Chinese fast. And this next part is where it stops being a chart and starts being a car in your neighbor's driveway. The car doing the heavy lifting is the BYD Seal U DMI. It is a mid-size SUV, the shape Europe actually buys, and it is a plug-in hybrid, so the tariff never touches it. On the continent, it starts around 34,990 euros. It gives you roughly 80 kilometers of pure electric range on the base battery, enough for most daily commuting without burning a drop of fuel, and when the battery runs low, the petrol engine takes over, which means no charging anxiety and a combined range past 1,000 kilometers on a full tank and a full charge. Now put it next to the car it is aimed at. The Volkswagen Tiguan is the default family SUV in Europe, the safe badge, the one your parents would nod at. A comparably equipped Tiguan plug-in hybrid runs close to 49,000 euros. So the buyer is looking at a Chinese SUV with more electric range and a longer equipment list for roughly 14,000 euros, less than the German car it is copying homework from. 14,000 euros is not a rounding difference. It is a family holiday, a year of a mortgage, a second-hand car on its own. That is the whole trick, stated plainly. Same size of car, longer electric range, and a price that undercuts the incumbent by the cost of a small car, sold in the one category Europe forgot to tax. If you're finding this useful, take a second to subscribe. This channel breaks down the Chinese car shift every week, badge by badge and number by number, and there is a lot more of this story coming. Now, BYD is not doing this alone, and that is the part that should worry European boardrooms more than any single model, because if it were just one clever SUV from one company, you could call it a fluke. It isn't. The same route is being walked by half the Chinese industry at once. Chery is the clearest example. In the first half of the year, Chery sold around 174,000 vehicles in Europe, and that number was up more than 212% year on year, more than tripled in 6 months. To picture the pace, Chery was shipping one vehicle overseas roughly every 17 seconds at its peak. Chery runs export brands like Omoda and Jaiku, and the JQ7 plug-in hybrid became the fastest growing car brand's headline model in Britain, topping Chinese brand sales in the UK in January. It is a compact SUV with a plug-in hybrid badge that sits outside the tariff, priced to undercut a Nissan Qashqai or a Kia Sportage, the mainstream cars British families actually cross-shop. Geely is doing the same. MG, which is owned by the Chinese group SAIC, is doing the same. The pattern repeats across brand after brand. Bring the hybrid, price it under the European equivalent, skip the tariff. Reuters reported that Chinese hybrid exports to Europe were climbing fast enough that analysts expected them to keep growing at double-digit rates, precisely because they sidestepped the EV duty. The tariff didn't redirect Chinese ambition out of Europe. It redirected it one lane over, into hybrids, and the hybrids came in record volume. There is a reason hybrids fit European buyers so well right now, and it is not complicated. A lot of Europeans are nervous about going fully electric. They worry about charging on a long trip, they worry about winter range, they worry about what the car is worth in 5 years. A plug-in hybrid answers all three worries at once. You get the cheap, quiet electric miles for the daily commute, and you get a petrol engine for the moment the battery runs out. It removes the exact reasons people hesitate on a pure EV. So the Chinese hybrid is not just cheaper than the European one, it is aimed with precision at the buyer sitting on the fence. And the fence is exactly where Europe's own rules are pushing people to stand. The emissions targets Brussels set for car makers reward every plug-in hybrid sold, because on paper it counts as a low-emission car. So European regulators are simultaneously pushing buyers toward the plug-in hybrid category and watching Chinese brands take the lead in it. The policy, meant to protect the home industry, is helping funnel customers into the exact segment the home industry is losing. Now for the honest part, because this story has a real limit, and skipping it would be lying to you. Chinese brands taking 34% of the plug-in hybrid category does not mean Chinese brands own Europe. They don't. Across the total European car market, all powertrains combined, Chinese brands are still around 1 in every 10 cars sold. Volkswagen Group alone accounts for more than a quarter of all new cars registered in the bloc. Over 1 million cars in 4 months, which is still far bigger than every Chinese brand put together. So when you hear taking over, hold it to the right scope. China is taking over a category, the plug-in hybrid, and it is growing fast across the whole market, but it has not dethroned the European giants on total sales, and pretending otherwise would be exactly the kind of headline this channel exists to correct. But here is why the category still matters enormously, and why Brussels is not relaxing. The plug-in hybrid is one of the fastest growing slices of the entire European market, and it is the slice Europe's own emissions rules are pushing buyers toward. China took the lead in the exact segment that is expanding, using the exact loophole the regulators left open. And the regulators noticed. According to reporting from the German business paper Handelsblatt, the European Commission is now preparing a second set of tariffs, this time aimed directly at Chinese plug-in hybrids. The gate they left open is the gate they are now trying to close. There is talk of a framework where the duties could be softened if Chinese makers agree to minimum prices, but nothing is settled. And even if the second wall goes up, there is a third move already in play. Several Chinese makers are building or planning factories inside Europe, which would put their cars on the right side of any import tariff entirely, because a car assembled in Hungary or Spain is not an import at all. So the story is not that China found a loophole, it is that China found the loophole, drove a record number of cars through it, and Europe is now scrambling to build a second wall behind the first one. Which raises the question that actually affects you. If you are the person weighing one of these cars, what should you check before you buy? The badge on the front is unfamiliar, and that unfamiliarity is where the real risks hide, not in the powertrain. The engine and battery are proven. The open questions are the ones a new brand always brings. What is the warranty and how long does it run? Because BYD leans on a long warranty precisely to answer the doubt a new badge creates. Where is the nearest dealer if something needs fixing? Because a showroom 2 hours away turns a small repair into a lost weekend. And the big one, what will this car be worth in 4 years? Because a brand with a short history in your country has a short track record on resale value. And resale value is the hidden price you pay when you sell. A German badge holds its number partly because everyone trusts it will. A new Chinese badge has to earn that trust 1 year at a time, and until it does, the depreciation is a real cost hiding behind the low sticker. Those three things, the warranty, the dealer network, and the resale math, are exactly the boring, expensive checks a new badge makes hard to do on your own. That is the whole reason we built the Uzaver field manuals. One of them scores any brand out of 20 before you finance it, and gives you the 12 questions to ask in the showroom and the depreciation subtraction to run before you sign. If that sounds useful, the link is in the description. Either way, check those three things before you buy. The powertrain and the pricing are engineered to remove every reason you might reject an electric car. The things left to verify are the boring, expensive ones: the warranty terms, the service network, and the resale math. Europe set out to protect its car industry with a wall, and the wall is still standing exactly where they built it. The cars just came in through the powertrain. Nobody thought to tax, wearing badges. Most European drivers couldn't have named 2 years ago, priced low enough to make the German option look like a luxury. So here's the question for the comments, and answer it from where you actually live. Which Chinese hybrid brands can you already buy in your country today, and would you put one on your driveway over the European car it undercuts? Tell me your country and your answer below.